Well, it's time to make another book haul video. Still not very good at this, but let's see how it goes. My wife and I recently went with our daughter to all the local libraries near us. We hit up five that day. Uh, Most of them have a Friends of the local library club, and it's volunteers, and they just put books out on shelves, either retired library books or donations. And they're generally 50 cents for a paperback, a dollar for a hardcover, and you can find some absolute gems. And that's what I did. And I just want to show you what I found. A quick little aside about my local libraries. I had no idea they were so good. I go to my local library and I love it. Uh, it's so funny. The Friends of the local library follows my wife on Instagram. When we went up there to buy some books, the woman that runs the account, I think she just saw us and just came in because we are recognized by the library staff. They know our names. It definitely made my wife and I's day. And we were just chatting with her, and she told my wife, "I like the things you post on Instagram. It's fun to follow." And we thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, our local libraries are so cool. We went to one that I lived next to for 4 years, and I never went in because I was an idiot. And it was just it's so tiny and it's so peaceful. It's July. It's so hot, and it was nice and cold, and just so quiet and relaxing. And my daughter, who's 6, she absolutely loves it. I mean, I had to promise her that I was going to bring her back uh, pretty quickly, or she didn't want to leave. And she said it's just so cozy and it's so quiet, and there's so many cool toys. And the moral of this story is do yourself a favor and hit up your local libraries, even the ones that aren't in the city you live in. Like if you've got any others nearby, just go give them a visit. It's so fun and refreshing. And each library we went to, and being the summer and all, were just packed with kids, and they were having so much fun. And it just gives me an even greater appreciation for our public libraries. And make sure you hit up the friends book section, grab some books. That money really helps the library a lot. All right, let's dig into the actual meat and potatoes of this video. First book is Gentleman Revolutionary. It's Governor Morris, the rake who wrote the Constitution. I really like U.S. history, and I like reading off-ball U.S. history. And I didn't even know who Governor Morris was. He was a one-legged ladies' man. He had like a wooden peg leg, and he joked with George Washington, shared a mistress with Talleyrand, lost friends to the guillotine. Uh, he witnessed the French and American Revolution firsthand. Uh, he gave New York City its grid system, and New York State the Erie Canal. I'm reading from the back of the book, but it just sounds amazing. And so, yeah, I had to pick this up, and it's hard to pass up something this cool creeping on into the frame for 50 cents. And the next books, I'll share them together, are two of the Patrick O'Brien books from his series. I'm trying to find the name of it. The Aubrey Maturin novels. I've read the first one, Master and Commander, and I loved it. And I was super happy to find the second one, Post Captain. And Commodore's way later in the line, but for 50 cents, I'll pick it up now. I'll get to it by the time I find the other books too. But yeah, I really like Master and Commander. I'd never read a naval book before, and it was just nice. It's fun. I read a lot of science fiction and fantasy, and it's just fun to take a break and try new genres. I read Master and Commander when I was forcing myself every other book to experiment, find new genres. I read a western, I read a Navy book. I've read memoirs, all sorts of stuff. Like, it helps you appreciate the stuff you really enjoy when you branch out and build a wider foundation for your reading IQ. The next book, which contrary to my poor review, I will probably publish before this video. So I'm speaking about the past and the future, and we all know time travel is confusing. Dragon's Island by Jack Williamson. This is my favorite, a book club edition hardcover. And while I didn't like the Jack Williamson book I read, I appreciated his writing style, and I just I want to give him another chance, and I think this book will be a really good opportunity to do that. Like, it's I think this is like a collection of novellas and maybe a novel on top of that. And yeah, I'm excited to dig into it, and it's a pretty cool looking book too, which just adds to the flavor. And the next book is a library book, a retired library book, Prince of Fools by Mark Lawrence. I know nothing about this book other than it is a epic fantasy on a George R. R. Martin scale, but on speed. They mean on speed in ability to publish novels at something beyond a snail's pace, or do they just mean fast paced? I guess I will find out. I see Mark Lawrence on a lot of booktuber reviews and like Goodreads top 50 fantasy or whatever. And so I just picked this up for $1. It's the first book in a series. Might as well give it a try. So yeah, we'll get to that eventually. The next book is Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. And I've never read John Le Carre, and probably mispronounced his name, but it's okay. And yeah, I just wanted to give it a try. And so yeah, we'll see how that goes when I finally get to it as well. I always say I like book club edition hardcovers. I'm also a big fan of trade paperbacks, and my wife really likes trade paperbacks. Another thing I really enjoy for some weird reason are Penguin editions of books, especially the Penguin classics. That that iconic black spine with just that always great art on the front of the book. It just looks so nice. Like, I would love to have a huge Penguin Classics collection and just lay them out, side by side. It just looked beautiful. The next book, now that I'm done with that little rambling, is At Ease by Dwight D. Eisenhower. I I picked this up at the library, and my daughter was playing. I didn't really have anything to do, so I just sat down and started reading this book. Eisenhower is a fantastic writer. Like, he's very, I don't want to say this in a condescending way. His writing style is like very folksy or down to earth. Like, it's easy to read, but eloquent. And I was just shocked. Like, I mean, I know he wasn't a dummy, but sometimes you dig into presidential writings and they're not very impressive, or you have presidents where you're like, do they even know how to read? Uh, but yeah, it's great. And I found out he was a baseball fan, which makes me appreciate him even more. Not only did he help liberate Europe in World War II, he aspired to be a baseball star as a child. Uh, it's awesome. Only a few more books left. I got this because I really enjoy uh, Victorian era history and stuff like Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. And I hadn't seen anything about the Victorian underworld. Like, there was a lot of seedy stuff going on, but I never seen any good books about it, and I cracked that open and it looked pretty cool. So it'll be fun to get to that. Uh, Probably sooner than later. I had a goal this year to read at least one history book a month that involved the Gilded Age in the United States, which is generally about 1877 to 1900, 1905 ish. Some people say it starts a little earlier, like before Reconstruction ends, and some say it extends all the way to the start of World War One, but generally that 1905 to 1915 ish. It was also called the Progressive Era, so who knows. Anyways, I tend to put Victorian history in there too. It's this, especially late Victorian, which is the stuff I'm really interested in. It tends to run parallel to Gilded Age, and it's cool to see the differences on both sides of the Atlantic for that same time frame. You see such rapid change and improvements on quality of life, but you also see such absolutely horrific exploitation of the poor, and it happened on, like I said, both sides of the Atlantic. So it's very interesting to dig into. The next book is Freedom by Jonathan Franzen. I'm in a book group on Facebook, and it's an offshoot of a baseball podcast I listen to, and a lot of people in there have read Jonathan Franzen, and I have no idea what the book is about. I cracked it open, I started reading, and I was like, oh wow, this is very well written. So I'm gonna give it a try. I very rarely go into books blind, but I'm going to with that book, and we'll see how it goes. And last but not least, another book I know very little about, To Be a Man, a novel by William Decker. It's a Western, but it's a very late Western. I think it kind of covers the last of the cowboys type thing, like true cowboys. I think it starts with a guy named Roscoe Banks and leaving his foster parents in 1900 when he was 16 to practice the art of cowboying as his father had known it. And so from the description, it seems like it's one of those lamentations of the death of the West and a guide on how to be a man's man, like a cowboy. And so it just looked cool. It was a awesome, very old hardcover. So yeah, I thought I'd dig into it. And like I said in my first book review, this was a library book, and I like rescuing library books. Yeah, this thing was published in 1967. It's in really, really good shape for being read and enjoyed at the local library for as long as it was. I think that's it for my rambling and my collection of books. Let's tally this up. We got 250, 350, 450, 550, 650, 750. It's like $8. It's an awesome haul. You can't say no. Look at the books behind me. I don't say no to books. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. If any of you have read those books, please tell me in the comments. Let me know what you think of them. I would love for you to give me some weird bias before I dive into the books. That's always fun. And we'll see you next time.